I have a weekly meal plan and I want Excel to fill in the details for each meal automatically. Because once you already know you're making tacos on Monday, you probably don't want to keep typing the prep time, grocery cost, and everything else by hand. If you've ever needed Excel to find a match in one column and return something from another, that's exactly what VLOOKUP is for. Now you might be thinking, what about XLOOKUP? And yes, I will cover that. But today I want to start with VLOOKUP because you will still see it in older files all the time, and it helps make the underlying lookup pattern easier to understand. So I'm going to show you what each part means, how to make it work, and some mistakes that cause a lot of frustration. Let's set sail. On the right side, I have a master meal reference list. It has meal names, protein, the prep time, the grocery cost, what it's best for, and whether it makes good leftovers. And on the left side, I have my weekly meal plan. For each day, I want to type the meal name once and then let Excel pull in the rest of the information for me. It's the perfect use for VLOOKUP because VLOOKUP is designed to look at one value in the first column of a selected range and then return related information from another column in that same range. So in this case, I want Excel to look for a meal name in my master meal list and then return something like grocery cost. So the way VLOOKUP works is it looks down the first column of a selected table or range. And when it finds the value you asked for, it goes across that same row and returns something from another column. And if the thing you're searching for is not in the leftmost column of the range you select, VLOOKUP is not going to behave the way you want because it will not find what it's supposed to be looking for. In this example, I'm making sure that meal name is in the first column of my reference range. So let's take a look at how VLOOKUP works. I start, of course, with the name of the function, equals sign, and VLOOKUP in an open parentheses. And this next part, the B2, is the value I am looking for. This is what I want to search for. And in this case, it's my meal name for Monday, which is tacos. The second part is the range of information that I want to look in to find the meal name and then return something from. And that's why I've selected J2 to O21, because that is the entire reference table. Now, one thing to note, I didn't do it when I typed it in, but as I copy down, I'm going to want to lock this table range because it is always going to stay the same. And the way we do that is by putting a $sign in front of the J and a $sign in front of the 2, a $sign in front of the O, and a $sign in front of the 21. And that locks that range. So as I copy this formula down, it will always stay that range. So my table will always be the same. Next item in here is the column index number. And you see it here as the number 4. VLOOKUP is expecting a number that tells it what column in the entire range to return information from. And it counts them, starting with 1 for the first column in the range, which is meal name, a 2 for protein, a 3 for prep time, and grocery cost is 4, which is why I've put a 4 in the formula. And then I have one more comma, and I've typed false. And what false means in VLOOKUP is that it should look for an exact match. And for something like meal names, that's usually what you're going to want. And I press enter and it returns the grocery cost. Now that the first one is working, I will copy it down for the rest of the week. And now I have the grocery costs for each of my meals. I built the grocery costs from scratch, but each of these other columns are going to follow the same pattern. So I'm going to do one more just so you can see how that pattern changes. I'll fill in the rest quickly for you so you can see it all working together. So what I do is I usually select in the formula bar the entire formula and then copy. I'm going to press the escape key to deselect and then click on the first cell under prep time and double click in the formula bar and choose paste. Now the one thing I need to change is the column number that it's going to return. Instead of 4, grocery cost is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I want prep time, which is the third column, number 3. So I'm just going to change this 4 to a 3 and press enter. And now I have the prep time for tacos. And I can copy this down. And now I have all the prep times. And you can do the same for each of these columns. Now that I've filled these all in, I just want to show you that as we look across these columns, the only thing that changes is that column reference number, the column that it's returning a value from. So you see in protein, the column reference value is 2. For prep time, it's 3. For grocery cost, it's 4. For best 4, it's 5. And for leftovers, it's 6. Nothing else in that formula changes as I look at each column. There's one other thing I want to show you with VLOOKUP. If I enter a meal name that does not appear in my list, like say potato soup, I'm going to get errors in my formula. And the reason I get those errors is because it is not finding an exact match for potato soup in my reference table. The VLOOKUP is looking in the first column of this reference list and trying to find potato soup, and it doesn't find it. So when it can't find a value, it's going to return an error, which is #NA. And the reason I'm showing you this is because if you have VLOOKUP in a cell and it returns this error, it's telling you it can't find the value that you want it to look up, and not necessarily that there's something wrong with the formula itself. Now, there are a few easy mistakes that often trip people up. The first one is that if I leave out false, and I'm going to do it on the chicken Caesar wraps here, I leave it out completely because it is an optional field. It's returning $18, which is not the cost of the chicken Caesar wraps if I look at my reference table. And that's because I get a different match behavior from Excel when I don't choose exact match. And it looks for something close enough. But I want the row that matches exactly what I typed. So in everyday lookup cases like this, false is usually the safer choice. It keeps the formula more predictable. Another common issue is using the wrong return column number. And the reason this happens is that VLOOKUP does not care what letter the column is on the worksheet. It only cares about the position inside the selected range. So even though grocery cost is the 12th column on the sheet overall, VLOOKUP only cares that grocery cost is the 4th column in the reference range that I selected for this formula. And you can see that in red on this worksheet. Selecting the wrong column number will result in either an error or the wrong data being returned. The other big limitation for VLOOKUP is that you can only search in the first column of this reference range. So whatever you're looking up, in this case meal name, has to be the leftmost column. And that's one of the reasons that newer tools like XLOOKUP are more appealing. So remember, VLOOKUP looks for a value in the first column of the selected range, and then it returns something from another numbered column in that same range. And this matters because you'll still see VLOOKUP in older spreadsheets all the time, and it's a great way to understand this basic lookup pattern. But it does have real limitations. In the next video, I'll show you XLOOKUP, which solves a lot of this more cleanly. Until our next voyage, I wish you smooth sailing.